My name's Seth Tower Hurd, radio host and writer with Julie Royce, author of Redeeming the Feminine Soul. The Me Too Harvey Weinstein thing that has blown up so much at the same time the book came out. I mean, have you thought about the
the perfect storm?
These topics that you wrote about. Now we are in a place where we have to have a national conversation about them, right?
Yeah.
And I will say about the entertainment industry, it does drive me just absolutely bonkers sometimes when I hear things from Christians that are just anti like all movies, like, oh well, every movie studio.
Well, you're a movie critic.
Yeah, I'm a movie.
Course,
oh, sorry, I should have said that. I'm a movie critic. Relevant Magazine. You can read my work there and a few other places. But it drives me crazy that Christians say things like, oh well, every movie studio is affiliated with a porn company. That's completely not true. Okay, and they're like, well, how do you know that? Well, because I actually work in this stuff. Right? It's completely not true. On the flip side, I don't think most people who, just casually follow entertainment have any idea of the brokenness of that world.
Yeah.
And I've seen this myself, and I'm not even talking about, of course, I mean, I have interviewed some very top level A-list stars. I'm more just talking about the people who do the everyday work that gets the work done, like in movie premieres, the way that, women and men act towards each other, who are obviously trying to establish a reputation in the entertainment industry. I mean, there is both, men who are doing Harvey Weinstein like behavior that I've seen, and there are women that are willing to trade that for a shot, right? Or trade that for an audition, and that doesn't give any of the male behavior an excuse. That's never okay, no matter what. Right. But I was much less shocked, I think, than most of the world that this is possible in Hollywood.
Do you think most people are shocked?
I feel like the level that this is gone, where there's 60 plus accusations against Weinstein, and then there's other directors that are coming out.
Yeah.
The
but
term.
It's on the flip. It's not just the Hollywood. I mean,
it's all over the place.
Well, it's certainly within the media empire. I mean, what happened at Fox with Bill O'Reilly and Roger Ailes? Right?
It's really hard to maintain. It's like, oh, well, I was never formally prosecuted. It's really hard to maintain your innocence when you had to settle a $35 million suit.
Yeah.
Most people who are, wrongfully accused don't cough up 35 mil rather than go to trial.
Exactly. And now Mark Halperin, I just read recently, Mark Halperin now, political correspondent, and he's being accused by like 5 women. He has apologized. People are like, well, we don't know he's guilty. I'm like, what? He did apologize. Now, clearly something happened.
Yeah, he and by the way, has been like the most militant about covering sexual harassment and saying how bad these guys are. Yeah, which is unfortunately maybe it looks like a cover for his own behavior. Like and maybe he does, like maybe he feels that split that I'm angry at these people because I know I did it, and so I'm gonna. Rather than deal with my own sin, I'm going to propel this onto someone else.
But It doesn't surprise me. I mean, if you look at the history of mankind, I mean, ever since the fall.
Yeah.
I mean, man has been oppressing woman. Man has been objectifying women. There was just this huge brokenness that was instituted between men and women where we don't see each other as necessarily human beings. I mean, I look at Genesis 3 where it says that your desire will be for your husband and he will rule over you. We desire, as women, we want relationship with a man, but instead we'll get someone who dominates us. I mean, that's part of the fall. I don't think that needs to be the case. I think in the community of the redeemed, there's an incredible blessing and reversing of the effects of the fall. But when you look at the world, I mean, I wasn't surprised when I saw the Harvey Weinstein. I've seen it happen before. I think what might be the most surprising, though, is that women were willing to trade. And you think about this. Women were willing to trade their dignity, their respect, their humanity in many ways for their careers. And this is where we've got to the point where women are willing to do that. And that to me, I mean, as women, I think, to what degree have we played into this? Because that has become the most important thing to us.
Yeah.
Why?
And, you are trading something that is so precious for something that's so short-lived. Like, I've been in the game since I was 19 years old. I was fortunate enough to get on the radio in Chicago and start working as a music and film critic shortly thereafter that. Do you know how many A-lister people have come and gone since 2002 who are the coolest person ever that
so
now they could walk around a mall in Nebraska and nobody would know who they are,
No,
right?
that's so true.
And it's so quick. Like, okay, fine, there are the Bonos or the Julianne Moore or George Clooney or somebody like that can have this really long career. But for the most part, you got to recognize that if you're an actor, I mean, you may have a 5 to 7 year window, regardless of gender. I mean, that you're going to get to do this, and to see somebody trade who they are for that, as the author of a book that just dealt with all this stuff, did you see it coming to the degree that we got on social media? And
I'm not sure I saw the degree to which society would rally behind women who would say the things that women are saying. I mean, by and large, there's a lot of support now, and there's a lot of, I think, understanding that women have been treated poorly, often horrifically by these. It's so hypocritical to see these liberals who supposedly are feminist, and yet they're abusing women. But then again, like we talked previously, third wave feminism, we kind of played into that, and we said that we would participate in this hookup culture, and that was okay. And pornography doesn't really objectify women. I mean, what were we thinking? It's insane. So in some ways we played into this whole thing. But I think that the very positive thing, now we'll see if it actually has long-term ramifications that are real, is that there will be more of an awareness. But really, outside of the church, there is no redemption for that.
Yeah.
I mean, man will be evil. Man will oppress women.
Well, and this has happened in Hollywood because people know they can get away with it. And I mean, as much as I don't want to think about this, if we didn't have laws and people just thought they could get away with it, how many people would literally kill their neighbor over loud music or something with a baseball bat if they knew nobody was watching and they could get away with it? A higher number than we would be comfortable with in American society, right?
Sure.
The way this changes in Hollywood or the media or other sectors that are having issues with this is the people that are the aggressors, the perpetrators, the criminals just think that there's a better chance that they're going to get caught and they can't shut everybody up.
Well, that may be. And that's why I don't know that I'm that hopeful for real lasting change.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a moment. And it's a moment for the church to be different. But what is kind of disheartening to me, and I said this during the whole election, is that because we were looking, for example, in a guy like Trump, and I don't mean to make this too political or make a turn, but when it came out the way he had abused women, and let's admit, I mean, the guy admitted that he had done a lot of these things, and we have a People magazine reporter giving a very credible witness to the way that he groped her and the way that he treated her, and then he bragged about it, and he bragged about when he owned these beauty pageants, that he would walk in on the women naked, and that's a perk of the job of owning it, he said. I mean, you can listen to these things, his interviews with Howard Stern. And as Christians, we wanted the Supreme Court so bad, we wanted all these political gains so bad, that we kind of said, it's no big deal, it's locker room talk, it's not that big of a deal. And now, when we're in a moment in our culture right now where the church could say, we have been saying this for a long time, this is not acceptable. Well, we're looking at, we kind of excused it in one.
Yeah.
So the culture now is looking to us and saying, well, you just excused it. And so it's a very difficult, complicated moment. But we have to get back to, how do you treat women? And talking about misogyny is not just a buzzword. I mean, there is a real hatred of women that started in the garden with, what does it say? I'll put enmity, I'll put hostility between you and the woman. So we know that Satan has been gunning for women ever since the fall. And we do have a target on our back, and he's after us. And he disrupted the relationship that we have with men. So now that's a dominating experience. And so that is going to happen. But in the church, we need to be different. In the church, we need to recognize these forms of misogyny where men oppress, men deal with women this way. And we've had our trouble in the church doing this as well. We've had trouble in the church, and I've seen it because I see celebrity culture within the church and how we cover for people and their bad behavior. And I know every time that I've printed a story that calls somebody out, oh my goodness, I will just get lambasted by people who love them and support them instead of looking at the bad behavior and saying that's unacceptable. So we need to be calling this out in the church. We need to be talking about misogyny and the hatred of women and the way it comes out in men. But the part that we often don't look at is the way we as women have internalized a lot of this and hated part of our own feminine ourselves. And we have been in many ways complicit with what's going on, and we need to face that too. And we need to have a very different sort of feminism, because when I see the feminists and the way they're talking, yeah, they can recognize that as misogyny, but they can't recognize encouraging women and telling them that the solution to your unplanned pregnancy is to kill your own progeny. They can't see that that's misogyny. Telling a woman to violate every maternal instinct that God designed into their bodies, they can't see that as misogyny. I mean, it's the hypocrisy and the confusion and just the complete idiocy of our culture right now. It's like we know inside, like we viscerally know this is wrong, and we have this sense that there's an injustice, and yet because we don't have, again, this design of what womanhood is, the design of what manhood is, the design of what God is, I mean, because we're missing all of those things, we don't know how to address these things properly. And that's why it's so important to recapture that within the church, recapture a biblical understanding, because without it, we're lost, completely lost.
The book is Redeeming the Feminine Soul. Julie Roys, you can grab that on Amazon or wherever books are sold.